Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Greetings, greetings.
Everybody's coming in and telling us where they're from. They are so trained.
Yes, we want to know, especially we have a little poll, if you've ever taken an AAPC exam, which style, the old proctored style, the testing center style, or the remote like at home one? Because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, as well as the CPC exam. They can't hear.
Oh, I think that was just an old one. So Nicole says scheduled exam and testing center for April. Good job, Nicole.
Very cool. All right, let me get our first page going here.
Georgia, CBC. Like to get the CCS. Good, Patricia. Good for you. Margaret says, good evening from Ohio. Old proctored book form. I could be popping these up. I don't need to be reading them while you're getting your slides up. Yeah. Good deal, Margaret.
Very cool. Yep. So tonight these are the two topics we're going to be talking about. The AAPC exam, home versus testing center. Those are the two current options. And then going over CPC exam layout and prep, everything you need to know. And these were prepared by Kirsten. She did both decks tonight. We added a few of our little touches at the end, but thank you, Kirsten. Appreciate that. And then Alicia's going to do the first one with the testing center versus at home, and I'll be chiming in, and then I'll do the second one and she'll be chiming in. So what we'd like to do, if anyone's interested, maybe at the end, we're going to put a link out, and anyone that wants to join us on stage and share their experience with whichever testing method they did. We're more interested in the testing center versus remote, because those are the two current methods, just to help people that are trying to figure it all out and get ready for their first exam with the AAPC. So
I've already picked two people or flagged them. Lysandra and Karen have both, so when we get done, if you're willing, you might pop in and give us your 2 cents about your experience, what you think.
Yeah. So do you want to pull the slide up, Alicia? You want me to drive the slides?
You know what? I think let's see about me doing it.
All right.
I'm gonna do it on that other screen.
Is that something? Can you hear a beeping?
I cannot.
Okay, maybe it's just something here at my house. Okay. As long as you guys can't hear it, we're good.
But I can see you scrolling on that screen. Let me see.
Yeah, so just click presenter invite and pull in your screen.
Oh. Mine doesn't say presenter invite. It just says share.
Oh, okay. Whatever works. But I don't see you sharing.
Oh, I see what it is. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was on the wrong screen. Let me just get rid of that and pull this over. My word, you would think that they wouldn't let us do this type of thing, but no,
I hope everyone's warm after the cold front. Even in Florida, it was super chilly. We got below freezing. My poor bushes not died, but they got like all brown on the top. So hopefully they'll revive. It's the coldest since I've moved here, since 2018, that I've ever experienced it. So
there we go. Let me go from the beginning because I pulled up the one Laureen was going to do. And we're going to talk about choosing how your exam setting is done. Everything kind of changed, in the last year or so. COVID actually had some positive impact on the way that we do a lot of things in our life. One, collecting more toilet paper every time we go to the grocery store, but it also really promoted remote work. Not only remote, it was something, testing remote had been something people had been asking for years, and using testing centers. But the AAPC was very hesitant because it was not cost effective, I suspect. And nothing like a good pandemic to really push us out of our comfort zones. So now we're able to either take the test at home, remote, or in a testing center. I'm real curious just how many of you guys have actually tested in your life at a testing center. So we're going to talk about the at-home versus testing center experience. The first thing you need to do is decide which you're going to do before you purchase the exam. They give you a choice. There are other things you need to be aware of when you go in to make that choice. One is the technical requirements. Do you have the equipment? Do you have the internet speed and capacity to be able to take a test remote? We live in a little more rural than we did before, and so we ended up getting Starlink, and it works really well. However, I'm told that the possibility of it going out on cloudy days is there. Haven't had that happen yet, but that's something to consider, your internet speeds. Then restrictions. When you test from home, they're going to have you literally take your camera and show the entire room that you're in. Has to have a door. There are requirements as far as what you can have on your table or your desk. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. And convenience and accessibility is really important too. Can you schedule at the testing center? Is there time available? Testing centers aren't open every day of the week in most areas. They have assigned times. The first one that I ever tested in had 12 seats available in 2 rooms, 6 and 6. And then you literally sat down in a little cubicle. And if you had multiple people testing at the same time, you probably aren't testing on the same program. It could be, there's a whole list of things you can test, but they didn't still want 6 people in one room and 6 people in another room at the same time. Plus, you can't come and go, so you have to start at the same time. And somebody's test might be 2 hours, and somebody's like back. For mine, I didn't have a limit on the time, and so people could be getting up and moving when you're testing. The live remote proctored exam at home is great because it's 24/7. You get to schedule the time that you can take the exam. They do need to have a proctor available, but they work with your schedule, and from what I understand, it's very open. You don't have to travel, so there's not testing centers near everybody. There's usually always a testing center wherever there's a university or a college or a military base. Comfortable, familiar environment, very important. Some people have testing anxiety, and that's why they wanted to be able to test at home in the past. They felt that would make them more comfortable. They're going to sit down in their chair on their desk and have everything around them that is comfortable to them. Now, the requirements, though, again, is you have to have a working computer and a webcam. With that, they are going to have you take your computer or your webcam and literally show the whole area. You have to have a 5+ mega. Is that, I don't know what Mbps internet stands for.
Megabytes per second.
Megabytes. Okay. I was going to say that, and I thought I don't want to make you guys think I'm ignorant and say the wrong thing. 10 is preferred. Now, they will literally walk you through understanding the requirements if you're not familiar with how to find out what type of internet you have. And you can go to speedtest.net and get that information pretty easily. A microphone is necessary. Not all computers, laptops are equipped with a microphone, surprisingly, and speakers. So if you have an external camera like the one that I use, it comes with a microphone, the camera, and you have the ability to pick it up and do this so you're not twisting your laptop around. But those are things to consider right off the bat.
I was going to jump in a little bit too. The purpose too with the microphone and the speakers is because you're going to be talking to the proctor, and also it's a way that they also monitor for cheating. So you can't say, "Hey Siri, how do you code diabetes?" Right. Uh-oh, I kicked off my Siri. Nope.
That's funny. Well, and in addition, they don't want you to have a pet in the room. Right. They could hear if somebody else was in the room.
Right.
And that would not be compliant as far as what's required to take the exam. You have to have a door so that, you can't be interrupted. Now, I do know that a lot of people have told me they just rent a hotel room.
Yeah.
Because now, of course, that's an added expense, but the thing about a hotel room is that it's sterile, if you want to call it that. There's no personal things out. There's no pieces of paper that could make them think you've jotted notes down and stuff. And you're not going to be interrupted. It's quiet.
Yeah, and they make you scan your whole room. So like my office would not pass because I've got coding books and like all sorts of stuff that they would give them a heart attack. So
you can't do it in your living room. Yeah, because that's too open, and there's you can't close that off with the door. Right. So let's talk about the testing center. All the equipment's provided, so you don't have to worry about the ability of your computer to access the test. As far as internet speeds and stuff, you are always in a quiet and professional setting, which is brilliant. And again, there could be other people in the room with you, but you are being monitored by a testing center proctor. They're not in the room with you, but there's usually a big glass, or maybe they're in the room with you. But the one I was at, it was like a nursery window. They could see everybody in their testing, and they were available if you had questions to step around and talk to them. And you get all your technical support. So let's say you sat down and halfway through your exam, the screen started flickering, or it wouldn't move forward or something like that. Someone's there to address that. And then it's not you just saying, I couldn't take my test or finish my test because the screen wouldn't change. Also, most of the time they have pretty open hours, but absolutely business hours. Some are available in the evenings, but you have to check the available times. And then they're international, and there's on-site supervisor, proctoring there. Now, they aren't like a credentialing proctor like we're used to having, where they read off and they'll monitor you going to the bathroom or so on and so forth. Or it's not like that. And this is an employee of the testing center.
Right. Yeah.
Your
technical, know nothing about medical coding.
They will know absolutely nothing. And they are completely independent in the fact that they have nothing to do with the organization that you're testing for. They test for multiple organizations. So the very first time I used a testing center, it was for my real estate exam. And then the second time was at a military base. And so, again, very, very different each time. But the one thing is that they were all very, very professional. I can say that. For Technical requirements, again, at home, you're going to have good internet. You're going to have a sufficient webcam. Now, when they say 6-foot cord, they're meaning that you're going to have to be able to move it around or pick up, uh, uh, to be able to show the room. Your workspace has to be a closed room, and they have to be able to view it 360 degrees. For testing center, all your equipment's provided, and there's no technical setup required. You sit down and take your test. For both exams, though, photo ID. So if you have a driver's license. Now, I can't imagine that anybody would be testing for a medical coding credential without a driver's license, but it is possible. If that's the case, you do have to have a government issued ID. And if you don't have one, it's really easy. You just go to the DMV and you get a photo ID. It has to be current. It can't be an expired one. So don't let your license expire. And your name has to match what's on the registration. So, for example, my number 4 child is got the same first name as my husband, but their middle names are different. And so we call him TJ. And but all of his legal mail comes in, under Tobin Scott, just like my husband. So again, if you go by a nickname, or you have gotten married and you haven't changed over your driver's license, whatever you register in is the name that you have to use, the one that's on your ID. Now, your coding manuals, you have to use the current year. Well, actually, you don't have to use it. They recommend. Right. And we, for years, have strongly advised by stating that if you've invested this much time and money into getting this credential, why would you allow an outdated manual where a lot of people miss it by 2 when they 2 questions when they don't pass? And if that's the case, don't set yourself up for that. Go ahead and make sure you have current manuals. You can have a mix of current and previous print. You can have ebooks or print, but the finalized selection is 48 hours before. So you have to let them know that's what's going to happen. Prohibited reference materials is the same as it's always been. You can't have study guides, procedural coding expert, any of the professional guides, CPT Plus, CPT Insider View, or ICD-10 Easy Coder, ICD-10 CM. But you can have your standard manuals, your CPT manual, your ICD-10 CM, and your HCPCS code manuals.
And they have like instructions for each examinee that comes in. It's like, oh, okay, this is an AAPC person. So they pull up their info and they kind of go through a checklist. Okay, make sure there's no loose papers. And so they'll check their book. So, don't think just because they're not coders and they're not like a AAPC proctor that they're not going to be checking the same things which you're going to have to show if you test at home.
Now, Diane makes a very good point in her question. And I have not, I don't know the answer to this for sure, but I have been told, Diane, that you cannot bring any loose paper in that has writing on it. So I would say no, your guidelines cannot be printed out if you use ebooks, because they're just going to say no because it's written on. But you can write your manuals.
That you have an ICD, because you're talking about the ICD-10 guidelines that we annotate and we provide in our back cave for our club and students, club members and students. You cannot bring. It used to be we would print it for you. We had it in a nice spiral bound, and people would bring it in, and it was allowed because it's just the guidelines.
Right.
But it's not allowed anymore. So you want to make sure the publisher that you're using has the official ICD-10 guidelines already in the manual, so they're not loose. And yes, sorry, you're going to have to manually copy our annotations into your book if you want them. But think of it this way: you learn a lot just by highlighting the key points. Because what you should do is be reading it, thinking about it. Oh, okay. And so now when you're taking a question and you're like, oh yeah, there's guidelines on that, you can go back and find them and, refresh yourself on it and help answer that question correctly.
And
but
I was just reading recently a study on handwriting and the fact that when you handwrite your notes out, it changes something cognitively in different parts of your brain that makes you retain that information. So if you're using an ebook, that's out the window. You won't have that.
Right.
So at-home testing, what is not allowed? One, no electronic devices, no phone. I mean, you can't have a radio. You can have nothing. Phone or calculators are not allowed. Even a smartwatch, you have to be able to, show that you don't have a smartwatch in here. Headphones aren't allowed. And also any device with an on or off switch. The other items that you, again, might not have thought about, one is the pet. No other person can be in the room with you. No external monitors. So
I'm
if
in
you're,
trouble.
yeah, really. And most people, when they have a laptop that they use, I haven't had a desktop in years. And so you may not have a very large monitor on your desktop. That's something to consider. Whiteboard, scratch paper, none of that's allowed. No loose paper. And writing utensils. You can't have that. So they have a area that pops up that allows you like an internal whiteboard for you to make notes, but you can't make any notes while you're taking the exam.
And it's true for the testing center too. They just have this aversion to paper now and pencils, and it bothers me because that's not very accurate. And I mean, we do a lot now on computer screens, but a lot of people will still print out a report if they want to underline it, highlight it, especially if it's like a VIR, like a really complicated one. So you're going to have to mentally prepare. How do you want to handle that? Because we used to teach using your Scantron, where you're filling in the answers, the 1 dot 2 dot method, which was basically you got to skip questions and do the easy ones first, and then come back and do the next hardest, and then come back and do the very hardest. So you can still do that, but instead of doing it on the Scantron form where the bubbles used to be, because they let you have a virtual piece of paper, like almost like a whiteboard, you got to start doing your method in there. So I just tell people, very simple, just when you start, type in there skipped. And then when you skip question 10, just give it a star or 2 stars. 1 star means it's medium difficulty because you're answering the easy ones, right? So 1 star is medium difficulty. 2 stars is really hard. It's just a quick assessment you've made, and you just keep going along. Now, the testing center ones have, well, both of them have a way for you to star questions that you skip so you can come back to it. You can use that so that it's a skipped question, but you need to kind of type it on the whiteboard if you want to do the 1 dot 2 dot method. And that whole method is in the back cave under, the bonus training materials. But that's a quick way you can do it. Just put 10, 1 star. Question 15, 2 stars. So when you go through the whole exam and you get all the easy ones done, then you come back and you do the 1 stars, because every question is worth the same amount. So why kill yourself over a really hard one that you say, oh, I've never been good at this, I always get these wrong? Skip it. The Art of Skipping is the name of the video. And that's if you can learn the art of skipping. And how do you practice? Timed practice exams. Then you will be very prepared for the real exam. So
now, Jennifer had asked, are you able to highlight your ebook? And Sarah was gracious enough to say that she was able to highlight in her ebook, but it was not easy. So thank you for that, guys.
Also, when you use ebooks, if you make that as your choice, which I don't recommend, you have to use the AAPC's vanilla version. You're not able to use your own ebook version that you might have previously highlighted and put notes in. I wish that was the case. Maybe one day it will be. So be aware of that if you use their version. It won't have any highlights, nothing. So you're better off using
Martha
paper.
has asked a good question too, that if you take the test at the site, can you use it on the paper? No, it's strictly electronic now. Well, one of the advantages of that, though, Martha, is that you get your results instantaneously. I think that they still do the instructor ones by hand, but at least I had heard that. However, there is a trade-off for being able to do that. But no, paper is out the window, so that expense is gone for them, and having to pay somebody to go in and look at those or run them through a machine. So I know that was costly. Part of the things that they considered. Now, at home, with your space, remember, a private room. So again, I can see why people said a hotel room would be easy to do that, because it's very generic. But your table or desk, you have to have that there. Now, they say no couch, bed, or floor, but if you're in a hotel room, I think that's understandable. But they don't want there to be any way that you can slip something under a cushion.
They want you at a table and chair. They don't want you in bed taking the test on your laptop.
Right.
So you can have a bed in the room, like some people have an office in a spare room and there's a bed in there. It's the issue. You're not to be on the bed taking the exam.
Yes. And shoot, just sitting there on the cushion would make the proctor dizzy watching you go back and forth. But again, a hotel room has that, right? There's usually always a desk. And I'm not promoting that necessarily, but that is an option for some of you. A clean desk. So there can be nothing on your desk. Now, you can have water, you can have your coding manuals, and your ID would be there, because they're probably not going to let you have your purse where you can put your ID back. External webcam is used. You've got to show your face, your hands, the keyboards, and there's got to be a 10-inch perimeter around everything that they can see while you're testing. The speakers, of course, built in or hardwired, but you can't do Bluetooth, and you can't have a VPN. So it has to be a direct internet connection. Now, if you have a VPN, you can turn your VPN off. For at-home testing steps to get started, the first thing is you're going to download Secure Guardian Browser and use the test in out link. No, I'm not saying that right. Sorry. Move my bifocals. You use the test, and then there's a link that connects you. The exam day check-in, you got to log in 15 minutes early. You schedule that testing time, you click on that for your exam, and you complete the test checklist. That takes a little bit of time. So the proctor walks you through that, and if they can't, I've had people tell me that they had to go through and scan the room again, or the proctor stopped them because they heard a noise. If they hear your dog barking in the other room, they're going to make you stop and prove the dog isn't in the room, so on and so forth. The ProctorU platform is where you click, you start in on your session, and the pre-checks, they look through the terms, the privacy, the recordings, and all that stuff. You got to click and okay that you agree to all of that. The identity and device setup. So you're going to share your webcam, microphone, and screen so that the proctor can tap into that. They're going to take a photo of yourself and take a photo of your valid ID. That's where they prove that you're, hopefully your twin is not taking the exam for you, or that you are who you say you are. Now, the rules and the environment that you're in, they're going to review all of those. As you remember, if some of you have taken the exam before, there was a one-page front and back that the proctor always read before the exam, and they're going to be doing that to you as well. And then you begin with that room scan to confirm security and nobody else is there. Now, with the proctor, connection is the final step. and they review the ID, the photo. They look at your books, so you have to like fan your manuals and let them see that, and then you click that you agree on the you've read the rules and requirements and they're agreed, and then you can start the exam. With the testing center, to me it's a lot easier because you know ahead of time where you're going, and you arrive ahead of time. You usually just walk in and say, I'm here to take the ABC exam, and then you show them your ID, they verify your name, they look at your manuals or required information that you can and cannot have. They check you in, they do the verification. Then they walk you into the room where you'll be taking the test. They are, and it's a very quiet environment usually, but again, some people might come in and test while you're testing, at different times if it's a small testing center where they have only one room. But you don't have to worry about all of the equipment. You just sit down with your bottle of water and your manuals. Tech support is there if there's ever an issue about something not working on the exam, as well as having somebody at the testing center to say, hey, my screen just went black, and they come in and say, oh yeah, it just came unplugged or whatever. Then the thing that is probably the most ideal is that it is a quiet environment. And for people who have test anxiety, who thought that it would be easier to take it at home, I've heard that their anxiety goes down quite a bit because either they were in the room alone or they knew that the other people that were testing aren't taking the same exam that they are. And so therefore they didn't think about somebody getting up and walking out early because they're already done and I'm only halfway through, things like that alleviates that stress. You just sit down, you're in your zone, and there are no worries outside of doing the exam.
Now that being said, there are some experiences where the testing center might be a little too loud. Someone already shared in the chat that someone was taking a typing test of all things, and even though they give you like noise canceling headsets, she was able to hear it, and it bothered her. So you might get a bad experience, but I think mostly the experience, because that's their business is doing testing, is that they're trying to provide the most quiet environment. For me, it's you already have enough stress worrying about passing, that knowing all the equipment is on someone else. You just show up, sit there, and take it, and then you're done, and your score right away. That to me is a lot less stressful sounding. And I just couldn't do it at home because my family just comes in and doesn't respect my door, and I would be kicked out of the exam.
I was I was in a meeting the other day, and my son walked over and luckily didn't get on camera, but wanted a Band-Aid. Yeah. So of course you would take care of that if you were testing, but it is all of that information that you have to think about what's going to be the best for your situation, your scenario. Now, just to reiterate and kind of give you a side-by-side look, we've talked about these now, but let's look at the middle column, the categories. So think about these when you want to decide. Location, who's proctoring, scheduling, environment, technical requirements, distractions, security checks, technical issues, break policy. So at home, it's limited, it's monitored, and it's logged. But when the testing starts, that's strictly timed and supervised. And then you have to decide what's the best one for you. At home is comfortable with technology and independent setup, but if you prefer an in-person structure and fewer tech worries, then again, a testing center might be good for you. For me, and like Laureen said, our desks are pretty well set in stone. We have things where we want them, and you literally would have to evacuate all of that stuff. I mean, if you saw what I had my desk right now, I have an apple, I have my chapstick, I have my B12. I gave myself my B12 shot a little while ago. My hanky. I mean, just all of these little things. All that stuff has to go. And so,
hanky. I haven't heard that word in ages.
I live with hankies. I have lots of hankies. So again, those are things that you have to consider when you go to test. Now, I do know that before we get into the final review, some positives and negatives. I have heard some people give us feedback that they tested at home and the person who was their proctor was foreign and they had a difficult time understanding them. And she said, my connection was good, no problems on my end. The proctor was having technical issues, which again is out of your hands. And so you're psyched up, you're ready to take the exam, and they had issues. So, that can be a problem. Now that could happen both places. Testing center, they could have their electric turned off or a snowstorm or something, you never know. But that out of all the people we've talked to, you just hear a few of those scenarios. Think about that. And then with the testing center, one person didn't find their testing center ahead of time and they traveled and they were late getting there, which again, you schedule those time slots. And if it's a really busy testing center, that might be an issue. And she was really flustered by the time she got in, got settled and got to take her exam, and she passed. But she said she really didn't have good feeling through the whole thing. It was an uncomfortable experience. So those are little things to think ahead,
drive the route. Martha has a question. If we choose to take the test at the site, do we have an option to do it on the computer or on paper? No, it's all on computer now. So
correct. No paper
even
involved.
if you do it at home, no paper.
Right.
And then another question, can you use a Mac? Yes, you can use a Mac as long as it meets the technical requirements and the speed and all that kind of stuff. You can. All right, we've got 2 more slides.
Final tips for success. Okay, so again, test your equipment before you get going. Make sure you know your requirements and for which format that you choose. Prepare your space and double check wherever you're going to test that there's nothing there. Log in 15 minutes for at home testing, but exam day, bring confirmation, notice, and valid ID. Have a backup plan for internet or travel. And then you're ready to go. So it is really nice that we have these 2 options available to us. So that is a blessing. I know sometimes I miss that networking and being able to sit with people and learn about their goals and stuff, the camaraderie that goes along with taking an exam. But, it is a blessing to be able to have these 2 options now. And then just last, know that your first option is at home, is flexible, comfortable, and remote. If that's what you choose, or do you need that option 2, testing centered, which is structured and a professional environment? And then all you need to do is go and schedule your exam. That's the next step. And then pass, right? And share if just a shout out, if you pass your exam and you've used any of our tools, we want to hear about it. So let us know so that we can help support you and encourage you and share the good news with the rest of.
And even if you didn't use our tools, come tell us in the academy. We have lots of people from different programs and and lately really good questions being asked and good opportunity for learning and reinforcing. So come join us at cco.academy. You don't have to be a club member or even a student. There's a community area for everybody. So come join us.
We appreciate knowing how well our peers are doing, right? You are our peers. So I'm going to stop sharing
over there too, their experience with the 2 different methods. So you can, learn even more from that. So,
Yeah.
All right. So I think
Now,
I'm going to go. Go ahead.
Our next presentation, what Laureen's going to be talking about, is very similar because she's going to talk about what to expect in the exam itself.
Specifically the CPC exam, which is, what we started out teaching, and then we've, branched into the risk adjustment and a whole bunch of courses, as most people that are following us know. So
Margaret had a great question, by the way. I popped it up there. Can a library consider it a testing site because they have some awesome proctors? And the fact is no. The AAPC contracts out with an organization, so you can only test with them.
Right.
And the same is said for AHEMA. They contract with a testing center. So yeah, you can. But I have tested remote proctored in a library before.
Yeah. So these questions, by the way, came from, people, our topic request form. These are the type of topics we do on podcast day to keep it light and help more newbies or, more career related advice. So lighter things. So keep those questions coming. This is one, we have a review blitz, CPC blitz, or some people like to use the name boot camp. It basically started as a weekend review after people had gone through, a 10 or 20 week course. They're like, I feel like I forgot stuff from the beginning. So we would do a review. So that's where a lot of this information's going to come from. So first, we're going to talk about the CPC exam. Now, remember, any AAPC exam you take, a lot of these techniques will apply, but this is specific when we're talking about the number of questions and the timing per question. This is, for the CPC exam, but you can kind of, fit it in. So the CPC exam, as of today, is 100 multiple choice questions, and you get 4 hours to complete it in one sitting. There's no breaks. AHEMA kind of breaks up their test sometimes where you do part one, and then you might even go to lunch and come back and do the next part. And they're almost like separate exams, but done on the same day. It's not that way with AAPC. It's all in one sitting. So your time per question is it's literally 2.4 minutes, but average 2.5 just to round up. Because if you take 4 hours and convert it to minutes and divide that by 100, it comes to 2.4. So that includes you reading the question, looking up codes, and making decisions. So 2.5 minutes per question is actually pretty good, because if you think of a quick medical terminology question that that's going to be seconds. So those are the ones. That's why I say go through the exam and get the easy ones first, so that you're maximizing your chances at passing. I'm going to get ahead because I go into automatic zone with this topic. So this is just a review, because remember, these questions came in separate of each other. So I'll refer you to the presentation that Alicia just did, but those are our two choices right now: online at home or the testing center. And I'm going to skip this slide because Alicia already did it. So what are the CPC exam requirements that they're going to be testing you on? So there's 4 main areas. So I'm going to start in the upper left, the core coding systems. They want to know that you're a well-rounded coder and you understand CPT, procedural coding, ICD-10, diagnostic coding, HCPCS for kind of supply codes and other procedure codes being used by Medicare, and then modifiers. So you'll notice for the CPT and ICD guidelines, that's really what they want to make sure you understand, the guidelines. As a matter of fact, when I'm teaching the review blitz, I'll often skip several pages and the students will panic, but I might need to know something for that. I said, well, yeah, I mean, you can code from it, but if there's no guidelines, I can almost guarantee you're not going to have any questions on the certification exam, because they're testing you on guidelines. So keep that in mind. It's the same for ICD-10. And then going over to the right, documentation and compliance. So you want to know your E&M coding guidelines. There was a big change in 2021. So make sure if you're an old timer that you know those differences, that it's all about medical decision making. That's what's going to drive the different levels. Medical record documentation. You might get a little report that you have to actually code from. So abstracting. What are your skills for figuring out how to code? Look for the title. Start with that. Look for any other elements that would change the title, right? Like if it's about, like lesions, was there more than one? Okay, there might be a different code. Where was it on the body? That sort of thing. General guidelines, like how NCCI edits work, the National Correct Coding Initiative. They will let you know what codes are bundled. Now, on the certification exam, you don't have access to the edits. So therefore, you won't be tested on it. But if they tell you that one is bundled into the other, that scenario might be given to you, and you need to know how to reason it out, which one would be the one you'd be allowed to code. Lower left, medical foundations, got to know medical terminology, prefixes, suffixes, and root words. That's a great way of maximizing your time. So, like when students start and they start with medical terminology and they're not even doing the coding yet, they're like, I don't think this career is for me, because they're just studying and feeling like they have to memorize everything. And, I'll never get this. Just understand the core root words for whichever organ system you're currently trying to study. And then when you have suffixes like itis, we know that means inflammation of. Well, now you can apply it to something. So if you're doing a multiple choice exam question and you know what itis means, but you don't know what the root word means, well, if only two of the answers are inflammation of something, right? And the other one isn't that, well, now process of elimination, you got to the right answer. So study those prefixes and suffixes and root words. I would say suffixes are going to be your biggest helper from a procedural standpoint. Know your anatomy. Every CPT manual has anatomy pictures in it. Know where they are. Be familiar with it. Be like, half the battle is knowing what you have in your book and where to go find it. Not so much that you have to commit every single fact to memory, but know where to go find it.
That's another reason why it's really important to bubble and highlight, right? Mm-hmm. Use your BAT technique and do the annotations for ICD-10 as well.
Yeah. And I remember taking an exam where, and I mean, I'm an occupational therapist. Well, I was, and I've taught medical terminology. I've been in healthcare for like forever. And there was a word on the test I didn't know. I couldn't believe it. But use your index. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. And it was some obscure bone of the foot or something like that. But I went to the index, the CPT index, and I found that word, and it pointed me to the musculoskeletal section mm-hmm. for the foot. And then I was able to figure out the answer. So there's ways where if you don't have everything committed to memory, that you can figure it out. And of course, pathophysiology, understanding the disease process, maybe not as necessary for the CPC exam, because that's more heavy in procedure knowledge. It's, because that's what drives reimbursement for the physician side of things, what was done for the patient or to the patient. And then finally, in the lower right-hand corner, exam-specific skills. This is why we emphasize at CCO timed practice exams, because it's going to make you faster. Just like the first time you learned how to ride a bike, you're all wobbly and white knuckling it or driving a car. But in very quick time, you became more comfortable and it felt second nature and you relaxed into it. It's the same with taking these exams. If you've taken 3 practice exams and your score went from a 68 to an 82 to a 96, right? You're like, I'm ready. And you know how to skip. You know how to do that art of skipping. You've got your system for marking things down, and you go through that way of thinking. So by the 3rd time and you go for the real exam, you're ready.
The fear of the unknown is always the worst, right? Mm-hmm. Not knowing what you're going to be tested on. And that's why another reason why practice exams are ideal to go through.
Yeah. And then time management. So if you think about you have, how many hours was it? 4 hours. So you can't have your watch. You can't have a timer. We used to teach using timers. Can't do any of that anymore. So you have to be very aware when you start the exam, what time you start. And again, you have a little virtual one where you can type that out, right? Like the time that you started. And then what's your checkpoint, right? So if you're going to divide it into, like, just say 4, right? Each hour, how many questions should you have done? Right. So if you have, how many questions did we say there was? There was 100.
100.
So you should have 25 questions done each hour, roughly speaking. Right. So maybe do it that way. How many, I got to speed up, or I'm doing good. And it makes you relax. So you'll learn that with the time practice exams. Now, the time practice exams aren't 100 questions. They're more like 50. But that still gives you the same thing. You give yourself 2 hours to take the practice exam. That's why we emphasize the timed. Just taking a practice exam and taking your good old time, well, then you're doing homework. Right. You're not really doing a practice exam experience. So give yourself 2 full hours. Say, don't interrupt me. Maybe set up your room if you're going to test at home the way that it would be there. Don't use a pencil. Don't use paper. Do it exactly how you would do on the real exam. Of course, you won't have actually with us, you do have your test online and you're filling in bubbles. So it's not exactly the same, but it's very close.
Yeah. Carmen's right. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. So make sure, go to the AAPC site. Don't rely on, discussion boards or even us. Always go check what their site says you can have and verify. Like, I understand that you can have expert version of ICD, but you can't for CPT. So really read the fine print to make sure you have the right book so nothing gets rejected. That would be very sad. And like Alicia said earlier, current year manuals, you can use one that's 1 year older, but here's the thing, psychologically, what's that going to do to you? When you're answering a question, all of a sudden you're going to go, I wonder if this is a new code, or what if they revise the description? Am I missing something? And you do that self-talk. Get rid of that. Use a current year manual. The only people that sometimes like to take that risk is they wanted to take the test in December. Something happened and they had to reschedule. So now they're taking it in January, and they don't want to bubble and highlight their whole CPT manual again. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to risk it. If it's 1 or 2 questions, okay. But that's only for people that have done timed practice exams and they're getting over an 85. Then you've got wiggle room for maybe if there's a couple questions that, and also remember, guys, they're not every year going, oh, we got to get those new codes in on the exam. They're not doing that. They're testing you on the guidelines. Now, they update their exam every year. So if there was a code change, they're going to update it. They're not going to give you, deleted codes. So, so it's your choice, but our recommendation is do the current year. And if you are starting a course now, it's a great time of year because it's the beginning of the year. You got all the way to December where you can use those same,
that's right,
coding manuals. All right. So what does it cost to take the CPC exam? So it's $399 for 1 attempt, $499 for 2 attempts. Now, back in the day when I took my test, it was like everyone got 2 chances and it was 1 fee. So now they kind of give you an option. And I hate that they do that because, you're like gambling, like on not passing.
That's right.
But, yeah. So
it's not like you can take it once for $399, and if you don't pass, just give them another $100 to pass again. Take again. Right. No, you got to pay $399.
But here's the solution: do the 1 attempt and do timed practice exams. Our practice exams, I think, are $34, $35. 3 of them, and you're getting an 87, and all that, experience and comfort level that it gives you. When you take that real exam, it'll be second nature. You'll be totally fine. You need to get a 70 to pass. So how many questions can you miss in a 100-question exam, right?
30.
Yeah, that's a lot. You can miss 30 whole questions. That's why we do the art of skipping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're getting all the easy ones first. Hopefully in the first pass, you've already gotten 70% done
Right.
and correct. Now you're going to work on the ones to hedge your bet, right? And get the medium difficulty ones done. And you might not even get all of the ones that you gave 2 dots to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just let them go. Go randomly mark something in. Don't leave it blank, because at least you get a 25% chance of getting it right, even with a guess, So that's why scoring details, there's no penalty for guessing. Don't leave any blank that you didn't even get to. Fill something in. All right. And you normally, if you're doing the testing center, I think you get the results immediate.
I think you get them immediately there, but when you take it remote at home, I think there's a few days gap. Although that is so much better. It used to be 2 weeks to 3 weeks if it
and
was
you had
a
to wait for the
specialty.
postal mail.
Yes.
And the way you know if you pass is they would have your name, comma, CPC.
Yeah, right.
Before
You
you
go
even
look to
opened it.
see if your name, yeah.
Yeah. So the preparation tips: take review courses from CCO, do your practice exams with timed practice exams. Mark up your books, use paper books, mark them up, especially CPT. Now they don't let you I'm going to do electronic ICD, but paper CPT. It's either or. You're doing all
Right.
electronic or all printed. So we recommend the printed because we're very big on marking up the manuals. Focus on your guidelines. Really study those ICD-10 guidelines. CPT will come as you're doing the course that you're going through. You'll see the guidelines in there, and the notes that you're doing with the bubbling and highlighting is emphasizing the guidelines, making them stand out right by where the codes live. So when you're turning your CPT book to look up the 4 possible codes, and normally it's a set of codes, you'll see those reminder notes jump out, or whatever's highlighted within that group. And you're comparing, normally one group of codes to another group of codes to get in the right church. Then you got to figure out, of all the codes in that grouping, which is the correct one. So now you're trying to find the right pew. And then use CCO study resources or practice exams and any kind of, simulators. So of course we're here to promote CCO. There are other exams out there, like AAPC has practice exams. So if you run out of, we normally have 3 for each credential that we have courses for, and you need more, well, yeah, go with AAPC. There's even other companies that have them. Now we can vouch for us in the AAPC, but others, we don't know. But we have been told that our practice exams are actually harder than the real exam. So if you're getting an 85% on one of our exams, you're definitely going to be ready for the real exam.
I think Karen made a good point. She said that it was back in 24. She was told 7 days for her at home, and she got it 5 hours later via email. So that's great. That's good to know.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say is that a lot of people, when they get they got a month left, 2 weeks left, and I got to study, I don't have time to do practice exams. No. You study by doing practice exams. That's because right. You will find you'll get them wrong. That's okay. You actually learn more from ones you get wrong than the ones you got right. Because sometimes we get questions right and we kind of guessed. But right. The ones you get wrong, you're going to look at the rationale. You're going to figure out why. You're going to maybe make a new note in your book to remind you of something that you missed or forgot. So don't skimp on the timed practice exams or marking up your CPT manual. Any course, whether it's our credential, CPC, the COC, anything where the CPT book is primary, please mark up your book. And I've been asked the question, well, do I have to mark up every section? I said, I'm going to give you the same answer my dentist gave me when I said, do I have to floss every tooth? He's like, no, just the ones you want to keep.
Yeah, it was funny. So, Margaret made another comment here. That's really good too. I don't know if that'll all show up. Yeah, it does. Okay. She says, remember that the AAPC's I-10 book has the chapter guidelines at the beginning. I think most of them do now. And you can make those specific annotations right there.
Yeah.
So that's, and then she's got some other great tips there. So thanks for.
Yeah, those are worth reading. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, and so she went on to say that it helps to highlight with specific colors, modifiers: green, yellow for anatomic sites, repair codes, radiology, venograph, pink for unilateral, blue for bilateral, instead of just highlighting all willy-nilly. That's good to know. And I would also tell people that be careful when you highlight, because it's a little difficult sometimes. Everything looks important. So,
right. Don't over highlight. Yeah.
Don't, yes, and if colors is what makes your, pops for you, that's great. I had a student one time and she had every highlighter color you can imagine, and she had highlighted like everything in specific, and I had warned her. I said, just really be careful doing that, because I feel like you're overdoing it. And she said, no, this is the way my brain works. This is what I need. I've done tests before. I was like, okay, you know yourself better than somebody else. And she did fine. But again, when you first start, everything is important. But especially after you take exams, then you can narrow down and say, no, this is what I need to pop, because that's how the question was worded.
Yeah. Okay. Test day. We already went over all of this, so we're going to skip this slide. Again, these were prepared separately. So after the exam, next steps: complete your apprenticeship. AAPC, it will give you an A after your credential. So CPC-A indicates you're an apprentice. They have ways that you can get it off early. They want you to have 2 years of experience, 2 years on the job, then the A can come off. They also have Practicode, which they offer as a way to get rid of some of that time. But here's my thing, guys. Don't worry about the A. We have lots of interns, and we love, you want to be an intern, come be an intern with us. But you're still a certified professional coder. Right. And your resume already tells the story that you're an entry level, that you're an apprentice. You don't really need the A to tell the story. So don't worry about that. And you don't have to introduce yourself. Hi, I'm a certified professional coder, apprentice level. No, you're a certified professional coder. If they ask, well, how long? Oh, I'm an apprentice, or I'm new. I'm a newbie. Right. That's fine. I hate that they instituted this, because I feel like it's really dampened people's spirits when they get that, credential. So don't make that a big thing. But certainly if you want to get it off your resume, whatever, do an internship with us.
Or take a course, takes 1 year off.
Guys. I don't think so.
Yeah. When our course, they prove that they've gone through an 80-hour course. That takes 1 year off, and then you can do an internship. Okay. Knock the other year. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, network and career growth. We're very good at that. Come join us at the academy. So, and network with other people, AAPC local chapters. It's hard getting that first job, guys. We've done a webinar before where we encourage you, when you go to do your job hunting, do not take one resume and just blitz it all over the place, right? The more you customize, even your resume, like we've always talked about customizing a cover letter, but nowadays with electronics and everything's being submitted electronically, you're not mailing in a resume, you're putting it on job boards, monster.com, all those kind of things. So there's normally a section at the top where you can do like a summary of what you're looking for. Tie it in with whatever job you're applying for. Is it an oncology center? Get that in there somehow, so customize that. But go look for, if you go to YouTube and the little search on the desktop version, you type in resume, you'll see where we've done videos on that. Right. Maintain your certification. You're going to need 36 continuing education units every 2 years. So that's what the CCO Club is all about, is CEUs. Events like, maybe not this one so much, but our club webinar, we always get approved for a CEU. You get that by being a club member. I noticed someone mentioned that she hasn't received her CEU yet. We haven't done it that way for a long time. You go to the club to get your CEUs. We offer this training and stream it for free. Anyone can listen and learn from us. But if you want the handouts and our support and CEUs, join the club. So I think
that about wraps
okay,
it
so
up.
career progression. So you go from being an entry-level CPC, you complete your apprenticeship, and now you're considered a full CPC. Now, most people like to get an additional credential. We like to say it's like a Girl Scout sash where you're trying to get those badges. So if you are leaning toward facility coding, the credentials that you might want to add to your CPC is certified outpatient coder or certified inpatient coder. Again, we're sticking with AAPC, but there's other organizations out there. There's a HEMA, etc. You don't have to just stick with AAPC, but tonight's theme was about preparing for an AAPC exam. Over to the right, management and compliance. They do have a certified physician practice manager course. We used to have that. We just didn't get enough students to make it worth us maintaining it. There's other organizations that's all they do is office management stuff. So I would look at them and consider, their credential if that's all you're interested in. Then there's the certified professional compliance officer, CPCO. And then in the middle, these are some of our favorites, the specialty areas, the certified risk adjustment coder course. We have a good course for that. CPMA, medical auditor, we have a blitz for that. CEMC, certified E&M coder. And then CDEO, certified documentation expert outpatient. That's the course that we currently have running now, our new CDI course that really complements the CPC very well. It actually complements all the credentials very well because documentation is what we're all coding from. So understanding how to keep that improving and or having integrity will help in all of the roles. So check these out. If you just go to cco.us, that's where all of our sales pages. We have a section on our courses, a section on our blitzes, and a section on the practice exams. You can also just go straight to the academy, cco.academy, because we have links that take you there anyways. So, and if you need a session, I can talk to you for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, help you decide, I don't know which credential to go for. I'm kind of leaning this. I can help with that. Just go to cco.us/Laureen-call, and I'm happy to help you. So that is it for our content. And let's see. We always go longer than we thought we were. I think I already talked about some of the stuff we talk in our commercial break. Go to the club if you want the slides and the CEUs. These are the different pricing options when you go to cco.us/club. This is our new CDI course. It's $727, so it's not as expensive as the full course, like a CPC course. So, and we're kind of rethinking that. We're like, I don't know, this is getting pretty meaty. We probably should have made this a full course because it's pretty comprehensive. And this slide is just to remind me to let you know that we did change. We provided a new pricing option. We got rid of the payment plan and we went with a subscription plan. And it's $59 a month. Our payment plan was like $176 or something. So it's very reasonable. And this way, if you're not sure you're going to like our teaching style or whatever, the most you're out is $59. Try it for a month. See how you like it. Or if you're going to do it really fast and you think you can get done in like 3-4 months, hey, that's a lot cheaper than paying $1,400, or even like $1,000 or $1,100 when it goes on sale from time to time. So that's available for all of the full courses and the ancillary courses. So that's an option. Some people are in another school's program and they're not real happy with the lectures. So they will do this to supplement it. So they get our lectures, but they'll do all their testing and everything else on the other site. That's a nice help for them. We have a lot of people that have taken advantage of it for that reason. So yeah. So that's all I have. Any other questions?
Lysandra did state that she submitted her course and the AAPC accepted it and took that year off.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought they had changed that. So thank you. Because I was like,
Yeah.
I was doubting you, Alicia. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. That was pretty much it as far as questions go that we could answer. But I did mark a couple people. Is there anybody that would like to talk about their testing experience? That we could absolutely open up the mic to you. Lysandra, why, are you up for that? Because she's wrote her experience here.
Well, if anyone wants to come on board, I just put the link in. We can have you basically, your little head shows with ours and it's like a Zoom call, but it is being live streamed.
I thought that was funny. The proctor said she hoped she didn't see her again. And that was funny.
Why?
Because then it means she didn't pass.
Oh. What'd you do?
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate you letting us know that this was helpful, Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Are the podcasts posted? Well, they're on YouTube.
They're on YouTube, and it's as a podcast too.
Yeah.
So if you go to cco.us, you'll see where we list the podcast, because we try and make it topics that you could listen to while you're, like, say, on the treadmill, if you wanted to. So it's not like where you have to see what we're showing on the screen.
Okay, Karen said that she can jump in and share her experience. Okay, Karen.
Come on in. We'll see you in our little green room and we'll pull you in.
I'm just scanning it again.
Else, if you know anyone
any other question
wanting to get into coding, please send them our way. We survive on word of mouth. So we don't do very much advertising. We used to do some Facebook advertising here and there, but we haven't even done that lately. So, and since we got the new academy going, and we've seen a nice revival, and, I think the economy's improving since post-COVID years. So yay. All right. I heard the boop. Here she is.
Too. Hi, Karen.
Is your microphone on? We're not hearing you. Check your microphone down on the bottom.
I did that the other day. Now? Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me? I did my training for my CPC with you guys, and I'm also one of your interns right now, too.
Yes, thank you. So which way did you test?
Are you able to hear us, Karen?
She was hearing us for a minute. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yep, now we can hear you.
How did you test? Did you test Proctor at home?
Did you hear me say I'm one of your interns right now?
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah,
I tested remotely because I'm the person who took my first exam. Yes, I can hear you.
There's a delay.
Okay. You might need to turn your speaker off from the live and just focus on being here with us. That's what it is. There's a delay.
Turn my speaker.
Yeah.
Or just stay in here with us in the other screen that you had open. Just close it.
Now you muted yourself. Now you're back. Just go ahead and share your experience.
That's a big delay.
I tested
There.
about 10 years ago at another testing center. I'm the one who had the person next to me clicking away with the keyboarding exam. And that was so distracting. I'm sure that was a one-off and that probably won't ever happen to anyone else. But for that reason, I decided to test at home.
Mm.
And so it was.
You're good.
I'm hearing myself again. Sorry.
You have another tab open somewhere.
Okay, how about now? Can
Perfect.
you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Everything that you both said about the exam setup, everything was absolutely true, absolutely accurate. For me, it was a great experience. I was in my home, my chair was comfortable. I set everything up the way I wanted to. I had like an L-shaped table. I had my books here, my monitor here. I pulled one book over and used it. And then if I needed to switch books, so I practiced all that. Probably the most tense part was just being ready and passing all the checks with the proctor. And that went like clockwork. Once that was done, I mean, I was able to relax, but I wanted to take it that day. I didn't want any glitches. I didn't want to have to move it ahead another time. That was the day I wanted to take it. And so, like I said, everything went great with the proctor. And so once that was fine, I had a little strategy. We had 10 case studies at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys talk about that at all? Are they still doing that?
Yeah, they are still doing it, but we did talk about that in another webinar that we did.
Okay.
But go ahead and share your experience with it without giving.
Yeah, I won't share anything. I decided that I was going to just do those first because I was curious. The intensity of that, and I wanted to do a couple, and I thought, if they seemed too challenging, I would just skip those, and maybe just, if I didn't have time at the end, I would just pick an answer for anything. But I did get through all those and then just went through the exam. I probably had 10 to 15 minutes left. And probably the other hardest thing, I think, to Laureen's point, was not having anything to write with. That having that little word pad was just cumbersome. It's just automatic to grab a pencil and to want to write something down. It's just quicker. It's more intuitive. It's what we're used to, right? So that was a little bit challenging, but overall for me, compared to that other experience, it was a good one.
Now, you have to use 2 cameras or 1?
I used 1 camera. It had to be, I think, 10 so many feet away from me. But I figured out it had to be like mobile so that I could show my ceiling, under my desk, all 4 walls. And so, yes, it was just 1 camera.
Because I know at one point they were having you have 2 cameras. So one that was kind of like, behind you so they could see the screen. And then one that was like a regular, webcam facing you. So I was just curious if they had gone to just 1, because it sounded like from everything I was reading, it was 1, but it had to be external. Like it can't be like a laptop one that's built in. It has to be an external one so you can pick it up and turn it around. And like you said, you have to show the whole 360 view of your room.
Right. And it had to be so far away from me. So it was kind of like looking down on me. It could see my monitor, my books, like everything, like so many feet around me.
Right.
And Karen, did you get to pick the time that you wanted to test?
I did get to pick the time of day.
Okay. And then was I'm not sure how the remote proctors are. Was it a AAPC employee, or do you know?
It was a separate company, I believe, like maybe a
Okay.
second party. I'm pretty sure they were elsewhere in the world, and I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the only person that they were proctoring,
Oh, okay.
because when I went to get their attention, it did take a couple of minutes for them to come to me, which
Okay.
was a little nerve-wracking because, you're on the clock.
What did you need to get their attention for?
I wanted it, because the room was all enclosed, it was very warm in there, and I just wanted to stand up and turn on the ceiling fan, but I wanted them to know what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
And so, um,
And
it
did
just
they
took
let you?
Yeah, they let me. I mean, it
Okay.
was just literally stand up and hit a button, but I didn't wanna cause any kind of disturbance and any,
Sarah
problems on
just
myself.
said that you can hear them clicking on and off. So I guess if they pop in on your
Oh, okay.
screen, maybe
Okay.
What
that might
about bathroom breaks? What do they tell you about that? Hold it?
That either hold it or they don't stop the clock for you.
Oh, okay. But you could go to the bathroom and come back. I was thinking they were like, nope, you got 4 hours. You need
It
to
was
use
4 hours. Yeah, you could go.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very good. Well, you were phenomenal because you had experience of both.
Yeah, that's
Both.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Very,
take the
very
same
helpful.
exam both ways, or did you take 2 different exams?
It was I'm a nurse, so it was a informatics certification exam that I took, and that was about 10 years ago. So we were just in little cubicles in a testing center.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing that, and thank
You
you
are
for being
welcome.
an
Yeah, I agree.
intern.
Everything you said was just right on par with how it goes.
Yeah.
So
What do you think
perfect.
about the apprentice thing?
I am really glad that you said that because I do feel kind of like withheld a little bit because I have that sort of letter.
It's like the scarlet letter.
I was just going to say that. I mean, it's it's attached. It's an A and it's attached to your
I know.
credential. So, I agree with you. I do feel like kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
do we need that really?
It's
Obviously,
very
we are new.
contrived, but the AAPC is conferring the credential on you. And so it is officially CPC-A until you meet the requirements to have it removed. But my point that I want people to think about is that you're not less than. You are a certified coder. You did a lot of work. You learned all that. You passed a very hard certification exam. And that's what employers are looking for. I would hazard to say, especially in the physician side of things, maybe not so much for inpatient hospital, but they just want to know you're certified, that you know the difference between a CPT code and ICD code, and you can go get the answers. You are proficient enough to do that. So are they going to worry about an A if they know your entry level by your resume? So your initial salary offer will reflect that.
Sure.
So, I just tell people that because it just seems to be such an emotional thing to people, and they can't wait to get it off.
I could see that. Sure.
Yeah.
So, well, very good. Well, I think we're going to wrap up, and we'll see you around the academy.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I really think it's important for people to hear from others than just besides us, that real world experience in testing that's current.
Yep,
exactly. Sure.
All right, hon, you take care, and we'll see you soon.
Bye now.
And we're going to say goodbye to everybody else. Thanks for your kind attention. And again, you can find the handouts and materials in the CCO Club. Please come join if you've never joined and say hello. So, and thank you for all the thank yous that everyone's giving. So
we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good evening, everyone. Happy coding.
Bye-bye.
Looking for medical coding, medical billing, and risk adjustment education? Learn more at cco.us.